think it is a stunning place. Brecon Beacons National Park is one of the most varied of the national parks in Britain. It goes from Hay-on-Wye in the northeast, right over to the Welsh-speaking West Wales, really. So it covers geographically, it's a widespread, huge variety of landscape, different languages, different cultures from one end to the other, from Merthyr to Hay. You know, it is just, the variety of it is extraordinary and joyful. So it's one of the most special national parks for that reason, I think.
Well, I remember when it was set up, and I remember Mr. Ken Jones, who lived just down the road here. I think he had a lot to do with the setting up of it in this area, because his cousin, I think, was in charge of the grant that was given for it.
I remember my father being very interested, particularly at the time, because my father was born and went to school and was brought up in Brecon, and in common, I think, with a lot of people at that time, he was quite sceptical. Was it going to be a good thing or was it going to be a bad thing? But I think it pretty soon became clear that the whole area was going to be under serious threat unless some sort of designation like that came along. And I think towards the end of his life, he was quite an enthusiast. And on balance, I think I am too.
Well, of course, hyn sydd yn arbennig yw'r peth sydd wedi denu'r parc, neu wedi creu'r parc yma. Mae'r golygfeydd yn anhygoel yn Sir-Frycheiniog yn enwedig bod y banau, ac mae hynny wedi wneud y lle yn arbennig, ac felly wedi cael nawdd y Llywodraeth neu nawdd y parc felly i edrych ar ôl y pethau na.
At the moment, it's the most marvellous balance between the hills, the nature of the hills, and what farming has done to the valleys. And it is a very, very beautiful part of the world here, as is Snowdonia, as are many of the national parks. They wouldn't be national parks unless they were beautiful.
Amser yn yr erai bach, amser yr haf, o dad wedi wneud poboraca fach i ni fel plant. Fe bod ni yn trau'r gwair amser o'n i'n 5 mlwydd oed. O'n i gyd â boboraca o roi hynna i'r llia. O'n i gyd yn hapus.
Y rhan fwyaf o'r rheini, y tools yn dad yn gwneud, torri nhw o gillad boced a bwell a wneud nhw mas o'r rheini. Dim byd arall i gael.
Wel, oedd dim dŵr dyn ni, oedd dim tap yn y tir. O'n i ffod cario bob tymed o ddŵr. Y dŵr o'n i'n cael i fed a i wneud y bwyd, oedd hwnna'n dod o'r ffynon lawr bwys yr afon. Wedi roi'r llun y bont i chi, a oedd y nybledd y ffynon. A wedyn ni, oedd y pelldill wedyn ni, y tu ôl i'r buildings, oedd yn dod lawr lant fach yn dod, gwter fach oedd hi yn dod lawr trwy'r cefen. Ond oedd y caduriad yn trafili fyna, wel oedd y dŵr yna ddim yn ffit i fed. Achos oedd y caduriad yn trafili, ond oedd hwnna'n cael ei wso i golchi dillad a beth fanna, a golchi llestri oedd y dŵr na'n iawn yna.
Credwch chi, o'n i gyd, oedd Jean a Rita a frawd a finne a'n dad, fel fyrnw i finne a'n dad, o'n i gweithio dan ddiar i gadw'r ffarm fi. Ffarma bod i gadw chi bod ffordd arall rhwng oedd i dyn ni.
My father was from a farm in stock that lived in Gabail, they had several farms there. He was one of 7. Out of them all, he was the only one that didn't stay in farming. Because when he was a young man, he partly worked on the farm, then walked over the mountains of Blenavon to do some mining to make some money.
Everybody these days, they're so self-centered, I think, and almost greedy. And in the old days, all farmers used to share the work amongst each other. You know, they'd come and visit for shearing and many other jobs. But today, mechanization has taken over, and you haven't got that spirit that we had. And of course, people today have no conception, and it's hardly worth trying to tell them how hard life was on the farm when I was a boy.
Y pethau mwy diddorol felly yn yr parc I fi yw agwedd y bobl tuag at y parc a agwedd y parc tuag at y bobl. Achos ar y dechrau oedd bobl yn ddrwgdybus iawn. Ac yr arddywediad ar y pryd oedd dych chi ddim yn gallu byw ar yr olygfeydd. Ac wrth gwrs mae hynny wedi newid yn llwyr oddi ar hynny. Erbyn hyn mae twristiaeth wedi tyfu i fod yn bwysig iawn yn yr economi lleol, ac felly mae agwedd y bobl tuag at y parc wedi newid. Ond ddiddorol hefyd yw efallai y ffordd mae bobl o'r tu allan yn edrych ar y parc hefyd. Achos ar y dechrau oedd storiau di-ri gan ddealltwriaeth felly gan y cyhoedd o beth oedd y parc cenedlaethol. Un stori hynny o Dal y Bont yn wreiddiol oedd I deulu droi lan yn y pentre a set o'r picnic lan ar lawnt rhywun, private. A pan oedd bobl yn gofyn iddyn beth yn meddwl yn wneud, yr ateb oedd, but it is a national park, isn't it? Felly oedd yn cymryd gen y tal fod yn holl wahanol I beth yw yn gwirionedd.
I think the greatest challenge for all the national parks, not just the Brecon Beacons National Park, is the future sustainability of the farming industry. People are beginning to realise that the park is not God-given. It's actually the result of generations of farming. And the whole landscape is man-made, not given by right.
Farming isn't very easy at the moment. No. There's too much paperwork by any sense. We're restricted on everything we do. There was more pleasure in farming 20 years ago. We can't do what we like when we like almost now.
And I had 3 boys and a girl. And I guided them away from farming because I could see at that time that there wasn't much future in farming.
But they got to realise that unless they keep the farming in the countryside, as in the national park now, the national park won't be as it is now. And if they take the sheep off the hill, they won't be the lovely walks that are there now because it'll be overgrown.
Overgrazing has been, I think, a problem in some areas of the park. But I think 2001, with the severe impact of foot and mouth, did open everybody's eyes to the risk of undergrazing. And hopefully we can work together to have a sensible balance for the future.
You know, people are talking at the moment about that all farmers have got to diversify. Well, not every farm can be bed and breakfast, not every farm can run a pony trekking business, not every farm can, I don't know, have dry ski slopes and the other leisure and pleasure, or pony trekking or whatever it may be.
It's very difficult for a traditional sized hill farm, or even for a very large hill farm for that matter, to make a real sensible living just out of hill farming. And that situation, I suspect, will get even more marked as subsidies are gradually withdrawn altogether. Although to some extent they may be backed up by environmental support, but it won't be enough for people not to have to diversify. And of course there have been a whole variety of areas, particularly into tourism and so on, but many people are actually doing 2 or 3 jobs instead of 1.
In the end, it is the profitability of farming which will keep the countryside as it is what people want.